Your life begins in a small, rain-soaked village in the Holy Roman Empire in the year 1486. The Black Death is still a living memory. Famine walks the land every few years. The church is the only real authority, and fear of the devil is stronger than fear of hunger. You are the third son of a poor woodcutter. There is no inheritance for you, no land, no future. One cold autumn day, a Dominican friar arrives in the village. He is looking for strong, pious boys to train as soldiers in the war against Satan. Your father pushes you forward without hesitation. Better the church than starvation, he says. You are taken to a remote monastery deep in the forest. The training that begins there is not for the weak. The brothers teach you Latin, the Bible, and most importantly, the Malleus Maleficarum, the hammer of witches. You memorize every sign of witchcraft: birthmarks, red hair, talking to animals, brewing herbs, being too beautiful or too ugly. You are taught the art of interrogation, first on animals, then on condemned criminals. You learn how to use the rack, the strappado, the thumbscrews, and the Iron Maiden. The screams echo through the stone halls at night. You tell yourself it is God's work. At 22, you are ordained as an official witch hunter. You are given a black robe, a heavy crucifix, a copy of the Malleus, and a letter of authority signed by the bishop. Your first assignment is a remote mountain village where several cows have died mysteriously, and a child has fallen ill with convulsions. The village is paralyzed with fear. The locals whisper about an old widow who lives alone at the edge of the forest and talks to her cats. You begin the investigation with prayer and fasting. You search her hut and find dried herbs, a small wooden figure, and a black cat. That is enough evidence for you. The arrest is swift. The interrogation lasts 5 days. At first, the old woman denies everything. You start with the milder tortures. When she still refuses to confess, you use the strappado, hanging her by her wrists behind her back until her shoulders dislocate. The pain is unbearable. On the 4th day, she breaks. She confesses to making a pact with the devil, cursing the cows, and flying to the witch's sabbath on a broomstick. She names 3 other women in the village. The trial is short and decisive. The bishop's representative presides. The 3 women are sentenced to death by burning. The execution takes place in the village square at dawn. The crowd cheers as the flames rise. You stand watching, feeling a strange mixture of righteous power and a hollow emptiness in your chest. This is your calling. Over the next 15 years, you become one of the most feared and respected witch hunters in the region. You travel from village to village, from town to town, across the German states and into France. You send hundreds of people, mostly women, but also men and even children, to the stake. Some cases feel justified. Many feel like the result of village grudges, jealousy, or simple superstition. You learn the economics of the hunt. The property of the condemned is confiscated and divided between the church, the local lord, and you. The more witches you find, the richer you become. You buy a fine stone house in a prosperous market town. You marry a merchant's daughter. You have 3 children. On the surface, you are a respected pillar of the community, but the nights are never peaceful. You see the faces of the burned in your dreams. You hear their screams when the wind howls. You begin to question whether every birthmark is truly the devil's seal. You see how easily fear turns neighbor against neighbor. You watch young girls confess to flying on broomsticks and having sex with demons just to make the pain stop. One winter, you are called to a prosperous town where the plague has returned. The mayor and the priest beg you to find the witches responsible. You arrest a young midwife who was seen gathering herbs at night. The interrogation is long and brutal. She confesses and names 12 other women. The fires burn for days. As you stand in the square watching the smoke rise, you feel nothing but a deep, cold emptiness. Your body begins to betray you. The constant travel, the smoke from the pyres, the weight of what you have done, it all catches up. You start drinking heavily to sleep at night. Your wife leaves you. Your children fear the man you have become. You grow bitter and angry at the world. On your deathbed at age 58, a young priest comes to give you last rites. In your fever, you confess your greatest fear, that most of the people you burned were innocent. The priest tells you not to worry. God will forgive you if you did it in his name. You die alone, whispering the names of the women and children you sent to the flames, wondering if God is really listening. History will remember the great European witch hunts as a necessary battle against the forces of Satan. Scholars will debate the numbers. Tens of thousands burned across the continent. They will never truly count the innocent lives destroyed by fear, greed, superstition, and the ambition of men like you. They will never remember the broken witch hunters who lived long enough to question whether they had been serving God or the devil all along.